Hello, it's Alex here. Welcome to my channel and Happy New Year. I'm sorry that I disappeared at the end of Vlogmas, but Christmas just took over. Yeah, trying to vlog in the middle of everything else that was going on just got a little bit too much, and I think with hindsight I may have been a little bit ambitious in terms of what I thought I'd get done by Christmas. Certainly didn't get the painting done, certainly didn't get most of the sewing done, but you know how it is. So it's the 5th of January today. I kind of feel like Christmas comes to an end tomorrow when everybody goes back to school and back to work. We've always been lucky enough that we've done jobs where our companies have closed down between Christmas and New Year, and if we ever have any spare days of holiday we tend to book it around this time. We've had a really nice time. I've had people staying in my sewing room. It kind of gets transformed into a guest room over Christmas, and that's been quite good in a way because it's meant I've had an enforced break, because I think I had got a little bit, is there such a thing as a sewing burnout? Anyway, if there is, I was definitely feeling that. So it's quite good in a way to not be able to go down there and do any sewing. And it also meant that because quite a lot of stuff had to come out, it meant that when I put it all back in again, I got an opportunity to give the room a thorough tidy and a good old clean. And as my husband so kindly said, it was like I was sitting in the middle of the room and I'd troweled everything to the edges, and it's not wrong really, is it? So that's been really good. It's given me a great opportunity to sort everything through. My stash is looking all lovely and neat and tidy and has got some semblance of order. Maybe I'll nip down in a bit and show you kind of how that's looking. So it's meant that it's only a couple of days ago that I got back into the room and kind of back into the world of sewing, and I think that's done me the world of good. I've spent the last few days lounging around and reading lots, and yeah, a few trips out and stuff, but generally taking it easy, and including dyeing my hair. What do you think? I have to say I am really pleased with it. I had to change hairdressers recently, and this new hairdresser, I said to him quite a few times that I wanted to lose the blonde highlights and go back to something nearer to my natural colour, which is red, kind of natural colour with a bit of boost. And he just wasn't doing it. I found this happens quite a lot with hairdressers. They seem to not like to go down the red route. Anyway, I don't think he's the right person for me, so I wanted to do something to make it redder, and but I didn't want to put chemicals on it because I just feel like that, you know, it's pretty bomb-proof, my hair, actually, because it's so thick. But yeah, I didn't want to mess it up too much. And while I was out Christmas shopping, inevitably I went into Lush and spotted their henna, and it reminded me of my mum and all her friends when I was a kid in the 70s were all frantically hennaing their hair. So I did it myself a couple of days ago. It was a long and very messy process. What do you think? I'm liking it, and the red lippy was a Christmas present to myself, and it's probably a bit OTT for us. It's 11 o'clock on Sunday morning here, so it's probably a bit OTT for that, but you know what it's like when you get new hair colour, you find yourself doing new things. Anyway, shall I talk about sewing? So I know lots of, excuse me, it's thirsty work this. I know if you follow any other sewing vloggers, you'll know that lots of people are reflecting on the year past and the year I hate the phrase going forward, the year ahead, or in fact of course the decade ahead. And I looked back at my blog and my Instagram feed for last year, and last year was really my first full year of kind of posting on Instagram and kind of involving myself in the sewing community, and I think that has been a really amazing thing to do. And if anybody doesn't get involved in that, I would really recommend it, because people are so encouraging and so enthusiastic. There's an awful lot of enabling. I mean, I have found pattern companies that I didn't know existed. and I have found fabric companies that I didn't know existed, in fact lots of really good ones, and it's certainly elevated my sewing. I think I was playing it safe a lot of the time, but also of course there are some really great people out there sewing, so that's really nice too. And yeah, it means that you kind of, there are people you feel like you're friends even though you've never met them, so really recommend it. However, the downside has been I looked at some things that I made and I thought, you know, that's really not me. Why did I do that? In fact, there was one set of things I made that I was positively raving about on my blog. It's the Rosella top from Sewing Revival. Still really like the pattern, but I made it in some prints that are so not me. I literally can't even understand where my head was at the time. And I think I was just feeling very influenced by other people's style and other people's enthusiasm for certain things. One of the things that's great about life is that everybody has their own unique style and their own taste, and I certainly don't believe that there's such a thing as bad taste or good taste. It's just what you like and what makes you happy. And for some reason I kind of veered off the path at the beginning of the year and came back to being myself by the end of the year. And certainly as we head into 2020, my intention is to, you know, consolidate that a bit and stick to being me. So I feel quite positive about that. There are lots and lots of sewing challenges around at the moment, and I suspect that's partly because it's the beginning of the year, and some of them are year-long challenges like Make 9, for example. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed by how many of them there are out there. I did Make 9 last year, and I managed to make 6 out of the 9 things that I'd committed to making, which isn't bad going really. And the ones I didn't make were more experimental. I really wanted to print some fabric myself, and I still want to do that, and I didn't achieve it. So I think I'm just going to be a little bit more free. If I make something that happens to fall within the parameters of a challenge, then, you know, I'll enter it. Why not? But I'm not going to give myself any kind of artificial deadlines or any kind of set parameters to work within. I just want to be a bit more free and easy. There is one that I quite like the look of, and I can't remember what it's called, so I'll put a thing up at the bottom. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see how that one goes, but in a kind of whatever kind of way. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, you know, it's not law, is it? But what I do intend to do for the year, I'm really struggling not to say going forward, for the year ahead, is to make sure that my wardrobe, and therefore what I sew, is more coordinated. What I've found is that I don't always make things in a very considered way. I can get very easily influenced by a pattern that I really like or a fabric that I really like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if I'm not careful I end up doing what I did with my brown ginger jeans, which is making something that I love and that fits me really well and I'm really happy with, but I'm struggling to find other things to wear with it. I think I said on one of my vlogmases that because I've got so many green tops that I was feeling that they weren't really working with those brown jeans. I think I said I felt like a tree, and I still do actually. So I think in future my plan, and it's a kind of fluid plan, I'm not going to, you know, be too hard and fast about it, but my plan is if I make something like that, or plan to make something like that, I'm going to look at what I've got in my wardrobe, obviously anything that I've already got that's ready to wear or homemade, handmade, not homemade, and see whether the new thing is going to work within the things I've already got. Doesn't mean to say that I'm necessarily going to say, well, I can't make that new item, but if I'm going to commit myself to making something new that doesn't go with items I've already got, then I have to commit to the next 2 or 3 things to be items that are going to go with it. So my plan for the next little while is to concentrate on making some tops that I can wear with those brown jeans. And then when I get to the end of that, my plan is I do desperately need trousers at the moment. So my thought is, well, the next pair of trousers I make has also got to go with those same 2 or 3 tops. And that way I think I will end up with a much more coordinated wardrobe. And that is taking into consideration obviously things I already have. I don't buy ready to wear very often at all. I bought a couple of things towards the end of the year last year, just before Christmas, because I was in COS and I love that shop and I just couldn't resist a couple of things. And if I do buy things, it tends to be knitwear. Or what did I buy at the beginning of the year? I bought a leather jacket. I'm never going to make a leather jacket. But by and large, I try not to buy any ready to wear at all. So that means I have a really good opportunity to make sure that anything I do make works really well with what I've already got. And I'm quite excited by that. I think, you know, the idea of having a wardrobe where I know I've got multiple things that all work really well together, what this hand movement's all about, you know, sounds really good, doesn't it? So that is my plan for 2020. I've got all the usual New Year's resolutions, of course, as I've said before. Excuse me. I said it, as I've said before, I have found that keto diet works really well for me, and I've also found that alcohol doesn't work really well for me, and I didn't stick to my no alcohol plan over Christmas, but I was vastly reduced, and instead of drinking a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, I was drinking spritzers. And then when we got to the day after Boxing Day, David and I decided that that was it. We were sick of it, really. We were sick of eating chocolate and rubbish, and we've gone back on a keto diet already and stopped drinking. We are already really finding the benefits to that. Both those things work really well together, and we sleep better, have more energy. Oh, it's definitely works really well for me. But that's all the usual New Year's stuff that we all do. Before I disappeared off on Vlogmas, I was starting to make another one of these Armidale dresses. This is Style Arc pattern, and I have to say this one, out of this viscose fabric from Lamazi, I have been wearing so much over Christmas. I mean, today it's cold outside, but you know, I've got a long sleeved top on underneath it, and I'm wearing leggings, and when I go out, just put a pair of thick socks on and my trusty DMs. I was very naughty over Christmas. I bought my daughter, my youngest daughter, a pair of DM shoes for Christmas, and she really liked them, but they were a bit too big for her. So we went to change them for the right size, and when she got to the shop, she said actually she'd prefer a pair of boots. So we got her the boots instead, and I kept the shoes for myself. Yeah, I haven't had a pair of DM shoes since I was a teenager, and they are amazingly comfortable, and yeah, it wasn't it was a bit naughty. But my mum gave me some money for Christmas, 51, and I'm still getting money for Christmas from my mum. So in effect, that's what I used that for. That's my excuse. Anyway, I've been wearing this loads, and I had said I was going to make another one out of the this Atelier Brunette fabric that I had, because I thought it was a bit Christmassy, and it is, but it's not, you know, exclusively Christmassy. So I got about halfway through doing that before Christmas, and in the last couple of days I've pretty much finished it. I just need to put the buttons on, which is why there's pins on it. So I'll get that finished today, hopefully. But I did just want to say that I am an absolute convert to viscose twill, which is what this is. I mean, it's Atelier Brunette, so you know they are really fabulous fabrics, obviously at the slightly more expensive end of the market. I bought this from Lulou Designs and they currently have 20% off. So if you were tempted to buy anything like this, I would head over there. And Sam and Lucy have got a really good eye. They have some really lovely fabrics, and they do the Atelier Brunette buttons. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. But just a complete convert to viscose twill, because, well, what I found with viscose, like I made this and the Meet the Maker fabric that I made that brown dress in, is that it's not to do with the quality of the fabric, it's just the nature of the fabric. It's very easy to pull just when you put your pins in or when you're sewing. The fabric, you get little pulls, and because, you know, obviously it's a print, and then you've got, you know, the original colour of the fabric on the back, which is white or off-white, you know, creamy colour. When you get a pull, if you've on a dark background like this is, you get like a little white line. I'll take a close-up photo and put it on because there's a few on here. Nobody is walking around looking at my dress going, oh, you've got a little pull there, and it's probably me being fussy. But you don't get that with viscose twill, and this just has a little bit more weight to it. It's a little bit warmer. I mean, it's, you know, it wouldn't be a problem in the summer, but it just feels a little bit more like quality. So it's not to say that I won't be seduced by, you know, some lovely viscose fabric. That's, you know, no way is that going to happen. But I think where there's a choice, or just when I'm looking out for things, I'm going to try and go for more viscose twill over just viscose or rayon. Yeah, this is definitely much nicer to work with, and yeah, I can't wait to be wearing this one. So I'm just going to pop downstairs and show you my beautifully tidied stash. It'll only be a quick going over because there's not enough time in the world to go through all of it. I'll just show you where I'm at with it. But normal service will resume shortly. I wish you all a really, really happy new year, and let's hope that the next year is wonderful for all of us. In fact, let's go for the decade, shall we? If you like my vlogs, if you would subscribe and press the bell, that would be marvellous. And I will be back soon. Bye. So I'm downstairs now, and before we have a little look at this stash, I just thought that they're just here, I'd show you my absolute favourite sewing tool that isn't designed to be a sewing tool. Now, I thought I was the only person that had found this and was using them until this week, when I saw two people had got the same idea. Anyway, they are these old irons. You see that? I've got three of them. I think they're, I mean, I'm saying they're Victorian. I don't know, I'm no historian. They're really heavy. And I use them all the time. They work brilliantly as pattern weights because they are very heavy. They work, you know, for when you're cutting out. The thing I use them for most is setting seams or collars, anything that needs to be really crisp. And they work in a similar way to a clapper, but different. So when you use the clapper, you put a shed load of steam into your fabric, and then you put the clapper on top, and that absorbs all the steam, and then you wait for the fabric to go cold and dry, and then you've got a beautifully set seam or collar, and partly due to the weight of the clapper, but mostly to do with it absorbing steam. Because the metal's cold, the minute you've pressed it with your iron, I then plonk one of these on top, and literally by the time, you know, seconds have gone by, I lift that up and it's transferred the cold through to the fabric, and your seam or your collar is set really, really beautifully and crisply and quickly. doesn't really work with wool or when you really need to steam something, because obviously that's metal, it's not going to absorb the water. But I use I've got 3 of them and I use them all the time. That one is the heaviest, strangely, but it's the smallest. And this one I think I paid about £5 for in a bric-a-brac shop in Wales, in Machynlleth, if that's how you pronounce it. And then these 2 I bought in a slightly more sort of fancier antique place, and I think I paid more like £12 for them. But if I see them on my travels, I'll pick some more up, because I actually find them to be really useful. But anyway, yeah, so much for me being original, because I spotted on one of her Vlogmas videos that Jay from the Camden Stitch had one while she was pressing, and she had one plonked down on something. And then I've been watching some of the reruns of The Great British Sewing Bee, and while they were doing the interviews at home, one of the people on that was using one. I think it might have been Mercedes, not 100% sure. But anyway, yeah, they're my most used tool, so if you see them on your travels and they're not too expensive, I'd really recommend you pick one up. Anyway, let's have a look at this. So I've attempted to have some semblance of order. So the sections on the right are wovens. The bottom 2 are coating materials. Some of them are 100% wool, some are blends. And there's also some interlining there. There's a fabric on the top there. I'll show you that in a minute, because I absolutely love that fabric. And look at that. It's got a really strong mid-century vibe about it, and I love mid-century prints, so I couldn't resist it. I bought it about 2 or 3 years ago from Leon's in Chiltern. I don't know what it's made of, but as you can see, I've not used it because I'm paralysed by desire. Is that a phrase? I don't know, but you know, I'm just too scared of making a mess of it or using it on the wrong project. But got to get over that, because there's no point it just sitting here gathering dust. Then moving up, the next section here is the one on the right is all drills, twills and denims, and the one on the left is a bit of a mishmash. They're the ones I didn't quite know where to put. There's some corduroy, there's some velour, and there's some velvet there. And then moving up, the section on the right with the orange on the top, they're kind of suiting weight wovens. Some of them be stretched, some are not stretched. The orange one on the top is bengaline that I bought from the Fabric Edit, because I'd seen bengaline mentioned online and I didn't really know what it was, so I was intrigued, and I'm not averse to an orange rusty colour. The ones on the left are largely checks, a bit of a mishmash. Some are flannel, some are kind of slightly thicker weight, but yeah, anything checky in there. The top layer, the right hand side, is linings but also silks, so there's some cheap and cheerful stuff in there, but also some of the nicer silks that Dave brought back from China for me last year that I haven't used. Then these 2 are all rayons, or sort of light floaty and pattern. There's a couple on here that I'm dying to use. I will get those out and show those to you. This is one of my early purchases from when I sort of first found Lulou Designs. I intended to make a summer dress from it, just ran out of time, and I thought that I might be able to make something for the winter from it, but I found myself steering away from it, so maybe it's just a bit too summery for just now. And then this fabric I bought in the summer from Sew Me Sunshine, and I'm always saying I'm not massively into florals, and obviously this is pretty floral, and it's not really very me at all, but it's got daffodils on it. I love daffodils so much that when I decided to have my first ever tattoo to celebrate my 50th birthday, I had a daffodil tattooed. And I really love my tattoo, but I'm not so keen on this bottom part of it. I don't think it looks very good when it's poking out the bottom of a sleeve. So I want to have some more added to it, and I'm going to have some sewing elements in there too. Just need to think about exactly what I want. And then we're in the world of stretch. So there's 2 on the right are pattern stretch. Yeah, I think there might be some leopard print in there. The rest are all plain stretch fabrics, and I've tried to put things with similar colours, so it's a bit of a mishmash in there. There are plain jerseys, viscose jerseys, sweatshirting, sweater knits. It's all in there. I've just kept similar colours together. And then over here I'm on woven again, but these are more like linens and stable cottons. So the one on the left is the not sure where to put it section again. And then these top two are ones with patterns on, and there's a couple there that I will show you. So I bought this fabric from Fabric Godmother. She'd put a post on Instagram saying that she'd got Vivienne Westwood fabric in, and there was one I really loved, but when I went over to her website it all sold out. And I know that Danny, who is Pocket or Two, she also vlogs on YouTube, and I really love her vlogs, so she's definitely worth going to check out. I know Danny got some. I don't think she's used it yet, but I'm interested to see what she does with hers. But this one's got the painty splashes on, and I think that's what stopped me using it, actually, because every time I go to make something with it I find myself thinking, oh, does it look like I'm just in the middle of painting the house and I've nipped out? So I need to have a think about how to properly utilise this one. I really like this one here. I don't know what I'll use it for, but it reminds me of my daughter. And then here is all my ribbing, and the gold one on the side. Oh, I'll show you that gold one as well. This is from Girl Charlie. They call it vegan leather. I used this when I made a Linden sweatshirt a little while ago with some gold numbers on. I really like this fabric, and actually it's great because it's got a bit of stretch to it as well. And then up here isn't very exciting at all. That's just all interfacing. So it's looking all neat now. Let's hope that it stays like that for the rest of the year. See you soon. Bye.